when it was peak lockdown in 2020, I had a neighbor. I had two neighbors actually in the same house, Mr. and Mrs. Punjabi. This is Mr. Punjabi. Mr. Punjabi figured out that I don't have access to food. So Mrs. Punjabi used to come every day to my house with a hot plate of food. And she used to make sure that I was the person to eat the food first before even they ate. And I had just no clue how to give back to Mr. Punjabi and Mrs. Punjabi. And I used to lose my mind over it. I used to be like, what can I do? But then I figured out I had something that they could both use. And that was time. I gave Mr. Punjabi and Mrs. Punjabi a lot of time. I started having meals at their house. I opened up my life to them and they opened up my life to me. And I could see the change that it was making in their life. Because what was in abundance with me, which was companionship and friendship and such, they didn't have any of it. And the time that I was giving them, which was secondary to me, was much, much needed for them. And then I realized that there is many, many Mr. Punjabis out there. And so I thought that I think at least 10 other Mr. Punjabis should get this. And so I said, let me find 10 other people who feel like I do about this generation and do a small beta test. And so we did. And the 10 of us set out and we decided we're going to be young companions to seniors who live by themselves all alone. And it became a huge success. I was right. As long as the young person is empathetic, and he has an affection towards the seniors, he can be an auxiliary grandkid of sorts almost to all the young people. And so we launched it under the title Goodfellows. Lesson number 2, empathy without action is sympathy. It's a little bit of a reality check. But we all have empathy. And a very close friend of mine over time made me believe that everyone is a good person and everyone is empathetic. And so all of you are empathetic. Just you are in different levels of touch with it. But what you do about that empathy is going to matter in the end. If you feel strongly about something or someone and you don't do anything about it, then it's just sympathy. Empathy demands action. Empathy demands action. So the next time you feel that you're being empathetic towards someone or something or a community, ask yourself, what did you do about it? This friend of mine told me and keeps telling me and keeps telling everyone in every interview, experience everyone through others' eyes. It's a very real phrase. And I tried practicing it after he kept insisting and realized that you have to do it irrespective of who that person is. If you start practicing putting yourself in other people's shoes, you will quickly realize that your understanding of what they're going through improves so much that you really start being more empathetic. And how would I have reached Goodfellows if I hadn't put myself in Mr. Punjabi's position? I kept thinking about it all the time that I was spending at home in the lockdown. I was like, what is he thinking right now? When I was not in lockdown, what was he doing all day? What was Mrs. Punjabi doing all day? Who were they speaking to? Who was there to listen to them? I put myself in that position because Mr. Tata taught me to. And I realized that just opened doors for me on how I can solve it. It's 2023. We need people who save communities. We need people who recognize those who are in distress. And we need you guys to stand up for them. There is nobody else coming to help. It's all you. It's the young generation. They're calling us the young country. It's all in your hands. Start being the main character. We need some main character energy.